tryna ride on my back like a Mustang. See ya. I got a watch on my wrist, it's a bust down. See ya. I'm tryna hop on a flight out of town. See ya. But I sent my baby to bring it around.
As my mic is muted. I help podcasters and creators use podcasting as a marketing tool so they can build trust with their audience and turn listeners into customers through clear content strategies, systems, and training. And if you are a business or advertiser, I help you get in front of the right audiences so you also can increase your sales, brand awareness, and all of those important things through podcast promotions, creator partnerships, and live activations. All right, let's dive into today's topic, how I am preparing for the Black Effect Podcast Festival. And I think this is so important because a lot of y'all, you show up cute, you buy the outfit, you get the tickets, you book the hotel, but you still show up confused. And you're wondering why nothing came from attending events. Mind you, we're talking about, let me make sure I can hear. Okay. But you still show up confused. So mind you, we're talking about attending festivals because we are in the festival season. We're talking about attending conferences. Let's help some of you guys out. So that is the conversation piece today. Again, you buy the ticket, you show up, you sit in on the panels, you take a couple selfies, maybe even exchange a few Instagram profiles, and then you go home. No follow-up, no strategy, no results. And then you say, that was fun. Fun. That's not what you came for. You came to create momentum. You came maybe to find clients, increase your revenue, increase sales, book more leads. And so we need to help you get from fun to effective. And that is what we're talking about now. So the first piece, step one, as you are preparing to attend a conference or festival, South by Southwest, Podcast Summit, Podcast Movement, the Black Effect Podcast Network, you should do your research. And I don't mean research the cost of a ticket. I mean research the panelists, who's going to be in the room. Are there any community forums or Facebook groups that you can tap into specifically for you connecting, right? So let's talk more about research. Who are the speakers? Meaning, where are they? Where do they live? Their names, what do they do? What are they best known for? What rooms are they already in? Think about that whole idea of 6 degrees of separation. Who are they connected to? How does that help the bigger agenda? How does that help you in the grand scheme of things? What aligns with what you are creating or what you're building? Everybody is not your person, right? So it's not enough to say, okay, well, this person's going to be in the room, but does this person being in the room help your bigger goal? You don't need to meet everybody, just the right 3 to 5 people that can change your entire year. I just got done finished recording what is John's podcast? Forgive me. It's just before this live, so you guys could go back if you're on Facebook and you guys can go find it. But the Engaging podcast with John Chang. So the Engaging virtual meetings podcast. So he's very big on putting on engaging virtual events. I believe it was spearheaded during the pandemic where we had to all pivot. And so now he has this hybrid approach, not just doing in person, but also virtual experiences. And we shared a lot about what does it mean to be in the right room. And I was asking him a question, even though I was the one being interviewed, which was, you're always in the right room at the right times and you have aligned yourself with the right people. How did you do your research and how did you go about it? And he shared. So he's been in rooms with Les Brown at one point, and Tony Robbins has been on his main stage. And I think a lot of part of John's success is doing the right research and knowing, okay, I want to connect with Tony Robbins, or I want to connect with the Les Brown, who's the closest to them. That gives me a direct beeline to the person I really want to meet, or the bigger opportunities. Sometimes that means talking to someone's assistant or the receptionist or the secretary or whomever that you can get closest access to. But doing your research of the person and the people around them so that you can get direct access or you can get your foot in the door. And I'm going to give you guys an example as we get closer to the end of how to research in real time. Here are the panelists so far for the Black Effect Podcast Network, and I'm going to be picking one of them to do my research. But we have moderator Manny Mills, Kev on Stage, Tika Sumter, Carlos King, Carla Wilmeris. And then we have, and they're doing, let me go back. They're doing audio and media development. The next panel we have is the AI evolution and future. So we have Mimi and Hope Bryant. We have Ian Dunlap, Bridget Todd, Cliff Worley. And the last one, I don't know that this is the full completion for all of the panels at the Black Effect Podcast Network, but they're slowly putting together the event. And so they've slowly told us what the panels are. So this is probably not the complete exhaustive list, but so far I've seen these 3 announcements. This panel is about Gen X to Gen Z, bridging the gap. So we have Antoinette Miller, we have Jamila Bell, Chanel Sykes, Charlemagne the God, and Mecca Evans. So I probably know about or know of half between the 3 images that I've shared between all 3 panels. I probably know of half of these people and we're already following their journey. Some of them I don't know. So it would be in my best interest to research them. Where are you researching? LinkedIn, any of their articles, maybe their directory, if they're attached to a business, maybe do research of their PR or management, PR person or managers. And so that's where you start when it comes to researching who's in the room. Figure that out by following them on social media, following their LinkedIn accounts, and then researching who's closest to them, and then try to follow and send those individuals emails or direct messages. That's just one way of doing your research. And again, we'll get more into that in just a moment. The second step, right, after you've researched and you've picked your 3 to 5 people that you want to bridge a connection with and the ones that align with what you're doing, is defining your goals. So before you step foot in the building, you should ask yourself, why am I going? So for us, we are attending the Black Effect Podcast Network because we want to mobilize. We want to create some momentum. We want more podcasters to be a part of the podcast peeps. We want to build our community, build our membership. And so we're going all in full throttle. We're getting the sprinter, we're showing up, we're passing out wires, we're giving out the QR codes, we're passing out materials, promo, we're getting some great content, we're making a few stops in the city of Atlanta. That is our goal, is to just elevate what we're already doing as a community and as a brand. So pick one primary goal. Are you trying to get clients? Do you want to build relationships and partnerships? Do you want to book more speaking opportunities? Are you looking to find podcast guests? Do you want to create content? What is your goal this year for attending the festivals or the conferences? And by the way, I have a poll. I'm going to start it now. I want to know, drop your response in the poll. I'm going to wait to get some feedback from you guys. If you're watching live, comment live. If you are catching the replay, comment the word replay. But I would love to know, what are your goals for attending the conference or the festival? Even if it's not coming with us to the Black Effect Podcast Festival, I want you all to still respond. What are your goals? And while you are dropping your hello, Jennifer, thank you for watching. Tell me in the comments, what are your goals for attending events? When you attend an event, are you going to network and meet new people? Are you going to find new clients or to make money? Are you creating content? Or do you just attend events and then you kind of figure it out as you go? Let me know in the comments section. As you all are doing that, the QR code for the Black Effect Podcast Festival activation, so not tickets to buy access to the festival itself, but for you to be on the bus with our podcasters, that QR code is at the top. Make sure you scan it so you can get more information about how you can participate. But let me know, what are your goals? No matter what you plan on attending this year, whether it's a conference or a festival, this is the season where many of us, for our business in Q2, we're going out and we're making connections, we're networking, we're going to the festivals and conferences to book more clients and make more money, maybe because you're setting up a booth or a vendor table. Maybe you want to go to create content. Like for one event, I can think of like 5 different pieces of content alone. So what it was like attending the Black Effect Podcast Festival. What were the food spots that we went to? What was it like with booking a hotel or an Airbnb? How was the Airbnb stay? What was it like activating in the city of Atlanta? What did we do when we were on the party bus or in the sprinter? So just right there is 5 pieces of content. And then some of you guys are going just to go, just to be in the room, but you're still not sure how to navigate the whole space and how to maneuver. So I'm curious, again, drop your answers in the chat. What are the goals for when you attend a festival or a conference? All right, I'm going to move the survey and poll out of the way, and I'm going to move out the QR code, but I would like to hear and see your comments. All right. Pick one primary goal and focus on that. If the goal for you is getting booked to speak, are you adequately prepared? Do you have a speaker reel? Do you have a speaker pitch deck? Do you have an updated LinkedIn profile? Which email are you going to use? Do you have any autoresponders? Like for your email, thank you for getting in contact with Danny Marie. Right now I'm out at the Black Effect Podcast Festival, but I will respond within 24 to 48 hours. Do you have all of those things in place if you are looking to get booked? Do you have, with your speaker deck, your price points? Do you have the book? Do you have the website, the landing page all in place? If your goal is to book more clients, how can you do that while you're there networking? How can you do it so that it's seamless, booking more clients? Do you have an intake form prepared? A landing page? Do you have a page where people could see your services? Is that all up to date? Do you have your CRM tools in place? Pick one goal and start working on everything you need to achieve that one goal. Use tools like ChatGPT, AI, to help you refine your goal and to create your checklist. So depending if your goal is to get more clients, you need to ask ChatGPT, I'm attending the Black Effect Podcast Festival. How do I book more clients? How do I make sure that I'm fully and adequately prepared? Or building partnerships. You're not going to just go to, like, if your business is, let's say if you are a coach and consultant and you speak to overwhelmed, overly stimulated moms, you're probably not going to go to approach anyone at the festival who doesn't directly align with, you're probably not going to go to a booth about wrestling. I don't know, right? You're going to probably go to the booth that aligns more with your core audience and your needs and your podcast. And so asking ChatGPT, which are the 10 ideal partnerships that make the most sense for my brand? And if I so happen to find them while I'm at the Black Effect Podcast Network, what are some preliminary things or some open-ended questions that I can ask just to break the ice? And how can I close the deal while I'm there? Or if your goal is to get booked, do you have professional business cards? Do you have pamphlets and material? Do you have any evidence of your work? Are you going to go in there with your book in your hand? What does that look like? So figuring out, again, what your goal is, and then asking ChatGPT to help you create a checklist to make sure you're fully, adequately prepared. All right. Number 3, what do you bring? This is where most people drop the ball. We kind of just touched on it. So you don't just want to show up and be unprepared or ill-prepared. Show up thinking about QR codes, so you're not explaining your life story 50 different times. Simple offers or entry points. For us, it would probably be, we want you to join our community. So to me, it just, unless you have like a vendor booth, if you're just walking around networking and shaking hands, again, you don't want to explain 50 different times who you are and what you do. Plus, you don't want to overstimulate anybody else because they're also trying to retain everything. But what you can do, give them your QR code and let them get direct access to your Patreon. Maybe you set up your Patreon so anyone who joins in the next week, they get 7 days for free. And you can set up your Patreon accordingly. So they get access to your Patreon, so they get a feel for who you are. They get immersed in the culture. They get immersed in the back end. And I mean, you know what I'm talking about. They get immersed in the Patreon and the way that you set things up, right? And I think that's a really strategic way to keep people's attention, is if you offer something to them for free, they'll be more inclined to stay. But if you do something where it's not too much to think about, there isn't a hefty load or a hefty lift or a big ticket price. So do something that's palatable, especially meeting people for the first time. Yeah, we're just growing our podcast peeps group. Feel free to join us on the next upcoming virtual meetup. We meet up every Saturday. And then give people a QR code so that they instantly get to register without having to remind them, like even after the momentum has died and they have forgotten about the Black Effect Podcast Festival. If you can get it to where they can sign up and register on the spot with maybe just a quick name and email, and they're already locked in. But try to get that on the spot instead of having to make it difficult for people. Okay, I'll reach back out to you, and then you totally forgot to reach back out. So QR codes are useful, simple offers or entry points, a way to capture contents quickly, and then conversation starters. Because being authentic is key, but also being smart, right? Not trying to overwhelm and overstimulate people when there's a room of other people that they have to meet and greet. So not trying to make that difficult for people and then turn people off completely. How to move when you're in the room. When you get there, stop being scary. But also stop being random. You don't interrupt people mid-conversation. You don't trauma dump all of your business or pitch people who didn't ask. Instead, observe first, read the room, and then enter conversations naturally. And then add value before asking for anything. And most importantly, know when to leave a conversation. Some of you guys are staying too long and miss better opportunities. And then follow up. This is the part that actually makes you the money, because the event is just one piece. That's the first introduction. The real magic happens when you create your follow-up message, you send that email, or hey, let's continue this conversation. So try to follow up within 24 to 48 hours, as I mentioned, not the following week when they've already forgotten who you were and can't put a name to the face. And then the last thing is, if you're going to the Black Effect Podcast Festival or any event, have a strategy. The difference between that was fun and that changed everything for me is preparation. And let's get into what that actually looks like in real time. All right, so I don't know who, fun fact, Kev on Stage is from, well, he's not from Tacoma, but he lived here for quite a while. So he's a pretty big name locally here. I do know of Carlos and Tika. I don't know of Carla. So let me, first, I'm going to go to Carla Wilmaris on LinkedIn, and let's see if that's successful. Hold on. Okay. All right. We got something already, you guys. First stop, I'm going to go to is their LinkedIn profile. Let me put that back up one more time. So I'm talking about her right there. All right. So if you guys haven't noticed, I didn't do a lot of preparation. And so that's why I'm kind of stumbling over my words today, because I didn't really prep. So you guys are experiencing this in real time. What does it look like to do your research of a person ahead of meeting them? So right now I am going to LinkedIn. I typed in her name and there she is. She is an executive producer, a podcast strategist, building and leading award-winning audio for global networks, including iHeart, Will Packer. So I think she works very closely with Charlemagne the God, if I'm not mistaken, just from what I'm understanding here, especially if she's with iHeart. So I'm going to follow her, and I'm going to go to some of her recent posts. Okay, so I know these podcasts. Let's try this again with B. Simone. That's another no for sure with Megan and B. Simone. Brown Ambition. This Shall Pass. So I know at least 2 of the podcasts that she's helped produce. And she must not be on here a lot because she only has 226 followers. But that really doesn't mean anything because she's obviously stamped and goated in the industry. I'm going to look at when was the last time she posted. And she's probably not really building an active presence on LinkedIn. So the last thing that she posted was this, I believe. I won't pretend there wasn't pressure when iHeart and Will Packer Media trust you to take an idea and execute it at the highest level. The weight of it is real. 2 of the biggest names in media, an audience of men who need this kind of content, a vision that belonged to Dr. Joy Harden Bradford, Kira Gaines, and Will Packer that I was now responsible for bringing to life. That's not a small thing. All right, so she got them, I guess, set up. She's created the podcast, or she's the mastermind behind the production or something, right? So then I'm going to go to see who liked the posts. Do I know any of them? And are they close with her? I'm also going to see who's in her network. Figure out which companies, even though we saw iHeart, says she's the founder and executive producer, Idea to Launch Productions. I'm going to click that. And it says she has 2 to 10 employees. Sequoia is a mutual connection. All right, so I don't know if that means Sequoia knows a lot about Carla because she has a personal relationship, or if she just follows Carla because, like myself, she's just trying to be connected to the right people. I'm going to go back out and I'm going to click this people. And depending if you, I think, pay, this opens up more filters. 1 associated member. So explore people with this organization on their profile. Since they may belong to multiple categories, chart totals may be greater than the total member count. All right. So that really didn't necessarily help me, but if I was to still do my due diligence and my research, I'm sure I can get to the bottom of it. Let me try finding her on Instagram. So Carla on Instagram. There she is. So when you hit this button, similar accounts, it opens up other people that she's connected to, or that people that are suggested because of, again, similar work. So then, oh, that's beautiful. Do I know any of these people that are following her? No. I'm going to just continue to research to figure out who is she close to and how can I connect and reach out. So looking at these people, these names, I can ask the Black Podcast Awards community, because I see that they're following her. If they have a personal relationship and if they can make a warm introduction, because I was just messaging them the other day. I want to make sure I spell her last name correctly. Wilmaris. How do you say that? Wilmaris? Carla Wilmaris? Okay. So I'm going to send that to her. To Black Podcasting Awards community. I said, hey, I saw you follow Carla. Do you have any advice on the best way to approach her at the Black Effect Podcast Festival? They may or may not, but this is just a way for me to kind of start figuring out who do I have access to that can help me bridge the gap, right? So I just reached out. If you're not following the Black Podcast Awards, then you should be. They're on Instagram, but they also have a website as well. All right, so LinkedIn, Instagram. And then asking ChatGPT, if you don't have any ideas exactly what to say or how to approach it, asking ChatGPT, how do you go about approaching this person? Find their assistant, find their secretary, find the person closest to them, and start there. And then if that doesn't work, continue to find who else is in their network. And then if all else fails, just reach out to the person directly when you're doing your research. Again, go on Facebook and find any kind of forum. So I'm going to go to Black Effect. One thing that I have been doing that has worked tremendously is posting under any of the Black Effect Podcast Festival posts. So I'll go to Black Effect. I will comment under their posts and say, hey, I'm planning on meeting up in Atlanta. Anybody else joining me? Since I know the people that are watching the Black Effect Podcast Festival are probably people who are going to attend, and we've been able to convert some people that way. So let's go to Facebook. And I haven't tried this, but we're going to try it now.
Mom, I want myself. I want myself. Mom, I want myself.
Okay, baby, 1 second. I'm almost done. All right, so Black Effect Festival here. Let's see. So here's a top fan. I can easily connect with her or them. Dick and Conversation Podcast. It's a tie between Chris Brown, Don't Say No Names, Story on R&B, Money Podcast, and Vernon. So what's the question? This is not a trick. We've got tickets. Here's your chance to be in the building. Vendors panels. Winners will be announced 4:15. Okay, so I don't know how that relates to this post, but hey, are you planning on attending the festival? All right, something as simple as that. Going to the page of the conference and making connections and reaching out to people directly. All right, another comment. will you be pulling up? Simple. Some people are going to be turned off. Some people are going to respond and say yes. This was such a great episode. I did watch this. We actually had a room yesterday on the social audio fan base platform about this podcast episode. All right. And then notice that these are top fans, so they probably are on payroll. They're probably responsible for promoting. So another way to connect, I'm going to probably message Lovely Browns. I probably did already, quite frankly. All right. So I just reached out to Lovely Browns because I see he's a top fan of the Black Podcast Festival, right? And so I'm just breaking the ice and I'm trying to make as many connections as possible. And so that's just part of doing the research ahead of attending a conference. And again, figuring out who the panelists are, figuring out where there is alignment and who makes the most sense for your brand or for your platform. And then asking someone to make the warm introduction, if at all possible, to help you get around the barriers that are sometimes set up, like on LinkedIn, unless you have a certain profile or certain status. For some people, you cannot message people directly, so you have to figure out the best ways around that. So that was just another approach, is reaching out to the secretary, reaching out to any liaison, any PR person, or anyone that you know is directly connected to the person you ultimately want to meet. But just to quickly recap, again, how to prepare for the Black Effect Podcast Festival. Maybe you're not attending the festival with us, but maybe you do plan on attending some festival this year in quarter 2 or 3, because it's now conference and festival season. So just a few tidbits on how to make the most of your time when attending a conference. Number 1, do your research. 2, set a goal. 3, plan. What does the preparation look like? Make sure you have all of your planning pieces that are in place. 4, learn how to navigate the room. And then 5, the follow-up. I have a friend, shout out to Sam. The fortune is in the follow-up. A lot of times we make the connections, but we don't follow up. We don't nurture that lead, and we miss an opportunity, and we let a lot of people fall through the cracks. All right, you guys, I am going to leave it there. If you don't know, we're attending the Black Effect Podcast Festival. We plan on pulling up at the Pullman Yards location, doing a stop at the content studio, doing live podcast pitches, a scavenger hunt and bingo experience, stopping at another location and pulling back up to the festival. Content, community. Those are our goals this month while attending the Black Effect Podcast Festival. If you want more information, please scan this QR code at your top right or left. There you are. Or you can also just visit plantapodcast.com/Atlanta for additional details. Tickets will be going up next week. We also have a podcast launch that we're doing. So that is starting next week. This is the last time we're going to be doing it absolutely free. So By day 5 of the challenge, you will have a podcast. So again, if you want more information about that, plantopodcast.com. Take care. Happy Friday. And tomorrow, meet us for another virtual podcast meetup, plantopodcast.com. Bye.
Bitch on the ride on my back like a Mustang. See ya. I gotta watch on my wrist is a bust down. See ya. I'm tryna hop on a flight out of town. See ya. But I sent my baby to bring it around.